Content swap.
Wow.
What do you think of our new intro?
That's not the new intro.
That's the new intro.
No.
For this episode, that's the intro.
Okay.
Welcome back to Content Swap. It's been a while.
It has.
It has.
So I was like mentally trying to think of how long it's been.
So our last episode went up on November 12th. Today is December 17th.
Wow, over a month ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. So if you're a first-time listener over here at the Content Swap podcast, this is a podcast in which the two of us, we are a married couple. We exchange content. Yeah, I can say that. We have a child on the way, by the way.
We have a child.
We are with child. We assign each other content every week to engage with and to share that we can enjoy and spend some quality time together once a week. And then we hop onto this podcast and we talk about the content, and we talk about the content that we've been watching and engaging with in the meantime. And that's just the whole podcast. And we just kind of riff, and apparently I do most of the talking.
I didn't say it. You say it.
I see the sound levels after we're done recording. I can look at the whole sound file in one look, and I'm like, gosh, the sound goes up a lot for me. So yeah. Anyway, we have new content to talk about this week. In the description I said that we do this once a week, but yeah, we haven't really been on that lately, but we decided we wanted to do it today. It's a week before Christmas, so the jury's still out on whether we will get a Christmas swap episode out this year. If not, oh well.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna have to skip it.
Time.
So
Yeah.
we'll be out of town for Christmas, and by then, who wants a Christmas pick? Who wants to talk about?
I know. Yeah, the Christmas pick wouldn't come out until New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Do you have any New Year's movies?
No, didn't I give you a New Year's Eve as one of the?
No.
Oh, I've never given you that.
No.
Well, maybe I can give you that. I honestly don't like that movie, so I don't really want to.
Yeah, maybe let's not. So before we dive into this week's content, what do we have this week? We got Notting Hill and Kubo and the Two Strings. We first do our update on the content that we've been engaging with since our last episode. And, this is one of those times where it's really convenient for me that I make a playlist on Spotify compiling at least one track from every single thing that I engage with throughout the year. So if I watch a movie, show, game, whatever, if it's got music, I take one track from the soundtrack and I put it on my playlist. So right before we recorded this, I was very easily able to make my list because I just had to check what tracks have I added since November 12th, and then I just wrote it all down. Super easy. So I've got a list, and it's broken up into sections. So one of the main reasons why it's been so long is because we actually took our honeymoon in Portugal. Maybe we should start there. Mm-hmm. What was that like for you?
I had so much fun. I didn't want to come back. And yeah, it was just a blast. It was beautiful there. We went to Lisbon, Porto, Madeira. Each had its very different vibes. Lisbon definitely feels a little bit older, but I don't know. It was very cozy to me. I enjoyed it. We had probably my favorite thing we did the whole trip was we did a private cooking class at a chef's house. He welcomed us into his home, and there was a woman who was his sous chef. Basically, they do it together, and we got to cook a bunch of really, really delicious food and kind of sit together and eat lunch together, which was so great. It couldn't have been better. Porto things feel a little newer still. Obviously it's all European. I feel towns are kind of old because they've been around for forever.
Yeah, it's European old.
Yeah, but yeah, there was a lot more, I guess, to do, and I feel there was a lot more of a nightlife there. Even though, you know, me being pregnant was like, we were in the hotel by like 9.
If that, maybe even earlier.
Yeah. But that was really fun. And there was a lot more like wine. Like it's a big wine place. Port wine is huge.
Port wine comes from a specific region, like 120 kilometers.
The Douro Valley.
Yeah, the Douro Valley, northeast of Porto. And that's, you know, it's a government regulated region where like only port wine comes from there. Like champagne can only come from Champagne. So if you make a port style wine not from that and from the Douro Valley, it's just that. It's port style. It's not actual port.
Yeah.
We learned a lot.
So we learned a ton. All the places were like super cool. Fun fact, we sat next to a celebrity.
Oh, we did.
On one of our tours.
We did on one of our tours.
Yeah, both me and you were like separately in our minds. We're like, this woman looks so familiar.
I know. I just couldn't place her.
We could not decide like who. We couldn't figure out who she was. And then you turned to, as she was the first. She left the tasting first, and you look to me and you go, did that woman?
She was familiar.
So, yeah, she's familiar. And I was like, I have been thinking that this whole tour, it was like an hour and a half tour.
Yeah.
I was like, I've been thinking that this whole tour and I have no clue who she is. She was a lovely person. Like, kept pouring me water because I'm pregnant. It was just like being very comforting. And
I like asked her at one point, like, oh, where are you visiting from?
Yeah, and she told us she was from London and that she was like on vacation. Yeah, she was going back on like Tuesday, which was like a few days later.
Probably between gigs.
And yeah, she was like a lovely person. And then all of a sudden you're like, hold on, I know exactly who this person is.
Yeah.
And you pull up the Dune Show poster.
The Dune Show.
And she's like the biggest
she's
head.
The main person. Yeah, she's got the biggest head on the poster. Her name's Emily Watson.
Yeah, and we were like, oh, snap. Like, we should have said, we wish we knew who she was so we could have said something. But she probably appreciated it.
She probably didn't. That's probably why she left early. Exactly. She's probably enjoying her port and then was like,
I'm out
before these people recognize them from the Dune Show.
Yeah, and it was the craziest moment. We were just like, wow, how random. So yeah, that was like the highlight in Porto. And then we went to Madeira, and Madeira's like the Hawaii of Portugal. And so it was really about
Hawaii of Europe, I hear.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That makes sense. And we really just took that time to relax. Like, we spent most of our time at the hotel because our hotel was like
nice.
It had its own like garden, like botanical gardens, multiple restaurants.
It was like the whole hotel was a botanical garden.
Yeah, you were in the garden.
We had to walk through it to get to breakfast or to dinner.
Yeah.
Or to the pool.
And all the food was amazing.
I had octopus twice.
So good.
It was so good.
So good. Breakfast was good. Lunch
apologies
was good.
to all the octopi out there, but
yeah,
that was really good.
Yeah. And it was very warm, so we were like, oh, we can like be in our swimsuits, like we can really relax.
I bought a swimsuit. I didn't bring a swimsuit. I didn't think that we were gonna like chill by the pool, so I didn't pack a swimsuit. I bought a Euro-sized large,
which I should have known. European sizes run so small.
Yeah, it was. Oh my! I could not fit. It was like this. Just imagine, it
was a whole ordeal.
It was just bad. It was so tight. I like couldn't breathe, and I just had to pretend like I was okay. Like, you show up at the pool like, hello, and I'm like, because my nether regions can't breathe.
I think we ended up deciding like, okay, let's leave the pool. Let's just like, because we had like a balcony, like a beautiful balcony that like overlooked the gardens, and so we're like, let's just like sit on the balcony and do some reading. And I think like
that was nicer.
You, like, decide to just like put on underwear. You were like,
I wore my compression shorts on the balcony, which honestly much nicer.
You were like, I'm done with these. That was funny.
More socially acceptable to have been wearing in public than those swim trunks, I think.
They were pretty small. I was like, oh, it's kind of like, it's like in Europe, don't they wear Speedos, like, right. Aren't they like known for For
Right,
the
I'm just
small
wearing my. Oh, yeah, for the small. Yeah.
swimwear.
It was the largest they had. We got it from Sakura Blue. Not Sakura Blue, but Sakura Blue. I was like, oh, that's a fun name. Yeah, no, should have known. Should have known.
Yeah, we messed up there. But overall, I had a fantastic time. Did you?
Yeah, the honeymoon was great. Porto was probably my favorite. I took a lot of pictures, took a lot of videos. I just felt very inspired by the layout of it. I really like the layout of it.
Yeah. We were like watching Kiki's Delivery Service last night, and I was like, this reminds me of Portugal. Like the streets that you see Kiki kind of like flying down.
Yeah.
This is what Portugal felt like.
Yeah, totally. Well, on the topic of life events, we came back from our honeymoon. We had a 28-hour day of travel on the way back. That was, I don't know,
brutal.
top 10 worst days ever.
I think that was my top. I was exhausted, and towards the end, I don't know, being pregnant and like just that much travel, that little sleep, like I was like having a panic attack by like the end before like our very last flight, and like we had to walk laps around the airport because I was just so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was rough.
That was bad. I forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah, that sucked. And then I had to drive an hour and a half once we got back just to make it back to our place.
Yeah.
God. Yeah. All right, maybe top 5.
It's number 1 for me.
It was pretty bad. It was quite bad. And then immediately got sick. Like you were sick.
Yeah,
that
I got
day.
sick. I got sick before we even left Portugal.
Yeah.
The very last day, I was like, my throat is killing me. I'm getting sick.
Yeah.
And so we really like we chilled the last day.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything. Didn't go anywhere. Just like rested. And then as the days continued, I was like, oh, I'm sick.
Yeah. And then I got sick. The day of travel, I was good, and then immediately the next day, I was bad.
Yeah, not helpful when you're like jumping from place to place. Also, jumping from climate to climate. We went from Madeira, we were in Madeira, which was like 70. Went back to Lisbon, which was like a little bit chillier, 60s, 50s. Went to freaking Amsterdam. It was like 20 degrees in Amsterdam.
Super cold in Amsterdam. Yeah, it's a lot ridiculous. More north. And then we came back to Virginia, and it was
also like 30 degrees.
It became frigid. Yeah. Oh man.
So yeah,
it was rough.
Lack of sleep, changing weather.
Yeah, but I'm not sick anymore. You're not sick anymore.
No, we're good.
We're both good, and it's Christmas next week, so
Christmas,
living life. So in other life events that happened, I turned 31 years old.
Woo!
I'm an old man. Woo woo! And then celebrated by having a bachelor party with some buddies. One of my buddies, he is also an expectant father, and they're due in January. So he had this idea of like, let's do a co-bachelor party. And I said, well, hey, I'm already planning on getting people together for my birthday. And it's like, December's really busy. So if we're going to get people together, let's just make it one big thing. So we did a co-bachelor party / my birthday, and we drank beer and went to an arcade, and it was a ton of fun.
Nice.
Yep.
I wasn't invited.
No. It was guys only. Girls not allowed.
No, we did our own little birthday thing together.
Oh, you and I did. Yeah. What did we do? We went. Oh, we saw. Gladiator 2.
I'm like, what do you mean? What did we do? I got a cake, which you didn't eat.
I forgot to put Gladiator 2 on my playlist.
Yeah.
And I had a slice of that cake. Thank you very much.
I got a cake. I got balloons. That whole day of trying to get all of those things together was a fiasco. Made me so angry, but it is what it is. And then, we saw Gladiator 2, and that following day we saw Wicked.
We did. Okay, so let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
On the honeymoon, we watched a few movies.
Yeah.
First movie we watched, which was very appropriate.
Before you dive into the movies, can I explain like why we watched the movies?
Yeah.
Okay. we were having a conversation while we were on our honeymoon, and you were like, I don't know what triggered it, but I think you were talking about Cars. And I was like, what? I love Cars. Cars is like a great movie. And you were like, those movies.
I said when Cars came out,
yeah,
it was good, but it was the worst Pixar movie.
I don't remember you saying that.
No, yeah, that's my argument. Like there was a time when you looked at the pantheon of Pixar movies and Cars was technically the worst one.
Yeah. Wow. The disrespect.
But that's not to say it's bad. Now it's like actually great in the context of all of Pixar.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that kind of led to you talking about childhood franchises where the first one comes out and then the rest of them are trash and like you just don't think about them and maybe you haven't even seen them.
Yeah.
And you were like, there's a lot of those movies like that.
I'd only seen Cars 1.
Exactly. And so we were like, we're going to challenge ourselves to throughout this honeymoon, when we come back to the hotel at night and we don't want to watch Portuguese TV.
Right.
Like we will throw on some of these franchises, see how many we can get through. And so, yeah, go ahead with
okay, so we watched Cars first. We watched all 3 Cars movies. Then we watched all 3 Madagascar movies. We did not watch the Penguins movie. Then we watched all 4 Kung Fu Panda movies, which I'd never actually even seen the first one. Madagascar, I had seen the first 2, but I'd never seen the third one, which is a piece of crap.
Yeah,
movie.
the third one. I don't even remember the third one.
And then we also watched the Lizzie McGuire movie. Just throwing that out there.
We also
watched
Santa Buddies.
Santa Buddies.
Santa Paws.
It's like Santa Buddies or no Snow Buddies. The Mystery of Santa Paws or something like that.
Yeah.
It's part of the Air Bud franchise.
Yeah.
But it's the Christmas one where they're doing the Air Buddies movies where it's now just like little puppies.
Yeah.
And it's Christmas.
Did you mention that we watched How to Train Your Dragon, but we did not get to the sequels?
Well, we watched How to Train Your Dragon for the podcast like a year and a half ago, but so we watched half of How to Train Your Dragon 2 on the honeymoon movie.
Ah, that's right.
But we then we came home and we haven't gone back to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do a quick poll here. Favorite Cars movie, least favorite, or just rank the Cars movies.
Okay. I gotta remember them. Cars 1. Mm-hmm. So in order.
Yeah.
Top Cars 1. Mm-hmm. Cars 3.
Yeah.
Cars 2. Cars 4.
There's no Cars 4. What are you talking about?
Sorry.
Tell me what Cars 4 is about.
We were watching Cars for forever.
We did watch a lot of Cars.
Sorry.
No, just remember the stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Cars 2 is my least favorite.
Yeah, and Cars 1 was your favorite.
Yes.
I would agree with that order as well. Yeah, I totally.
Yeah.
Cars 3 was not bad.
It wasn't.
Yeah. Okay, Madagascar. There's only 3 of them.
Yeah.
So let's rank those.
In order. Madagascar 1.
Really?
No. I take that back. Madagascar 2.
That's what I thought.
Madagascar 1. Yeah. Madagascar 3.
I would agree with that as well. Yeah. Madagascar 1 is like a classic, but Madagascar 2 actually...
There's not much to Madagascar 1.
That's the thing. Yeah. Madagascar 2 added a lot more. There's more characters. There's more like story going on.
Yeah. Everyone goes through their own development.
Right. And then I think their character arcs are like done at the end of Madagascar 2, which makes Madagascar 3 like just totally unnecessary.
Chaos. Yeah.
Just didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Kung Fu Panda.
Okay. This is a big one. I gotta remember this one. Kung Fu Panda 1.
Okay.
Kung Fu Panda 3.
Okay.
Kung Fu Panda 2. Kung Fu Panda 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would flip around 3 and 1. I think Kung Fu Panda 1 was my favorite. Then Kung Fu Panda. Wait, what did I just say?
Kung Fu Panda,
yeah. Kung Fu Panda. Thank you. Yeah. Kung Fu Panda 3 was my favorite. Then 1, then 2, then 4. I like was enjoying 4 while we were watching it, but then now that some time has passed, I'm like, nah, yeah, I'd rather rewatch 2 than 4. 4 was like the Madagascar 3 of the franchise.
Yeah, the reason I didn't enjoy 4 is because the other characters are not part of it. Like, it's just Poe.
Oh, the Furious 5.
Yeah, and I really enjoy seeing the Furious 5.
Yeah.
And so, like, once they were pulled out of it, I was like, you lost me.
Right. It's like, if it's supposed to be kind of like this concluding chapter to Kung Fu Panda, then, like, you got to have everybody there. You can't just have some of them there.
They were like, we're not paying all these
right
top tier actors anymore.
Right. I mean, even Kung Fu Panda 3, they did kind of sideline the Furious 5 halfway through the movie by turning them all into, like, Jade bad guys. But they were still, like, part of the story.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right. We're through that section. Next up, we got home and we watched 2 Christmas movies that had been recently released on streaming. The first of which was called Nutcrackers. Do you remember this movie?
Oh, yes.
Ben Stiller.
The newest Ben Stiller movie. Ben Stiller's making a comeback. He's like starting to put out some stuff now, which I like realized. I didn't realize how old he has gotten until we watched Nutcrackers.
I mean, what else has he put out other than Nutcrackers?
Well, I think he has a bunch of upcoming stuff, is what I'm saying.
Does he?
I think so.
Does he?
I think so. I feel like I read something about
so?
some upcoming movies of his. Like,
I don't think so.
I do. I think so. Look it up. Look it up. They're doing another. There's like a movie he already made that they're doing another, like a sequel of.
I'm on his IMDb right now. Oh no, wait, sorry, that's his producer section. On his producer section, he has 37 upcoming titles. Okay, actor, 7 upcoming projects.
See, that's a lot.
That is a few.
Yeah.
Untitled Meet the Parents film
That's
rumored.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Happy Gilmore 2 he's going to be in.
Yep.
And I have not heard of the rest of these.
Gotcha.
And
anyway, to me that's a Ben Stiller comeback.
Okay.
But anyway,
is it?
I'm not the biggest Ben Stiller fan, but I really enjoyed Nutcrackers. Excuse me. Thought this was a really cute movie. I thought the kids were absolutely adorable. And yeah, it was just like a really like nice, wholesome movie.
I'm just looking at his IMDb. He really kind of just like, he was kind of like already. So 2014, he did Night at the Museum 3. I want to say that is Secret of the Tomb.
Yeah.
Then he did Zoolander 2 in 2016. And he really didn't do.
He just vanished.
Anything
Secret Life of
after
Walter
that.
Mitty?
That was 2012, I want to say.
Yeah, he just like, that's why I say like it feels like he's having a comeback because he really just like vanished.
Yeah, and then he did this whole whatchamacallit movie that we just watched. Yeah, Nutcrackers. Then he made a cameo in Dear Santa, which is the other movie that we watched. Mm-hmm. So real quick, what'd you think of Nutcrackers?
I already said my thoughts.
Oh, yeah, it was cute. He takes care of kids. Okay, what'd you think of Dear Santa? And let's describe what Dear Santa is real quick.
Yeah, Dear Santa is about a kid who has dyslexia, is dyslexic, and he is trying to write a letter to Santa, but because he's dyslexic, accidentally writes Dear Satan. And that conjures up Jack Black. As like Satan. And Jack Black, like, after talking to this kid, realizes what's going on, but decides to just pose as. Oh wait, he like at first he decides to pose as Santa, but then he like ends up confessing to the kid.
No, the kid figures it out.
Or yeah, the kid figures out that it's Satan.
Because he shows his friend who has messed up teeth. It's an important part of the story. He shows his friend who has messed up teeth his letter, and he says, "That says Satan, dude." Yeah. And those kids are fun actors. I enjoyed watching them.
Yeah, they were great.
And yeah, that's when he figures that out.
And once he figures out that it's Satan, Jack Black is like, all right, you get 3 wishes, but after your 3rd wish, I have to take your soul.
Yeah.
And so this kid's like, I refuse to make 3 wishes. But Jack Black, being Satan, quote unquote, because turns out he ends up not being Satan.
Spoilers. All right.
Oh, my bad. Well, I guess if you haven't seen it,
Too late.
Yeah. Oh, my
it's been
bad.
out for 2 weeks.
Right. Should have watched it. It's on streaming.
It's still watch it. It's fun.
Yeah.
There's a whole Post Malone section of the movie. That's probably my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah. But because Jack
Turns
Black,
out Ben Stiller's actually Satan, and that's not even a joke.
yeah,
That he actually has a cameo.
Yeah.
In Dear Santa, as the real Satan.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, Jack Black is determined to get this kid to like even accidentally make his wishes.
Yeah.
I will say, so I fell asleep on the end part, but like I don't know. I didn't love this movie. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I thought the kids were great, phenomenal actors. Yeah. They were fun to watch.
I thought it was fun. I mean, some of the acting was rough, but I think that was more of a result of the writing rather than the kids.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the story. I don't know. For some reason, the story like just wasn't hitting for me, and I can't really pinpoint one part of it. I think the ending made no sense.
The ending was weird.
Yeah, I fell asleep, and I asked you. I was like, "Well, what happened at the end?" And like you described it, and I was like, "Excuse me." I was like, "What? Yeah. Why?"
If you want to know what that is, either Google it or go watch the movie yourself.
Yeah.
But I will say one of his wishes is to fix his friend's messed up teeth, which is why I had to specify
why you said it.
You're right. I had to justify. That was one of his wishes.
That's so funny. But yeah, so I don't know. I thought it was okay.
Yeah. No, it was aggressively okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then we went and saw Gladiator 2.
We did.
And what'd you think of that?
I didn't love it. I mean, you all heard my thoughts on we did Gladiator for the podcast, right?
Or did we just it wasn't for the podcast, but we talked.
Gotcha.
I think we talked about watching it.
Yeah, Gladiator, the first one is like okay to me, not my kind of movie, but like I enjoyed it. There was a story there more than I thought there would be, and so yeah, I didn't mind it. This is the second one. It feels like a remake of the first one,
right?
Just with like new people, but
it's 20 years later. That can't be a remake.
Yeah, it just like didn't feel like it really added anything. I enjoyed seeing Pedro Pascal. I thought Denzel Washington was fantastic.
Yeah, Denzel was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, but other than that, I was like, all right, this is pretty much the same old. And then there was like some CGI animals that I was like, this makes no sense. Like, isn't this
sharks?
Supposed to be?
It's in the trailer.
I'm talking about those monkeys or whatever they were. The first animals
those monkeys. Yeah, those monkeys. I was like, these are not real creatures. I was like, this is not. That's an alien.
Exactly.
I thought I was like looking at like a CGI Star Wars alien or something. Literally. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm watching Gladiator.
I know. I was like, I had to like literally think. I was like, is this supposed to be a realistic movie? Like,
right. No, it is.
Yeah. And
so those monkeys must be must be a real creature.
There's no
God
way.
knows what.
There's no way.
Ridley Scott was just having a field day with this movie. He was clearly just like, whatever we can do to go bigger and weirder, let's throw it in. And he's like, yeah, we got weird monkeys that are probably not real. They
filled the Coliseum with water, which how do you do the Coliseum?
And
has,
they have
open spaces.
They have like a naval battle, and they put sharks in the water, and it's like, what? No, they didn't.
Like, it makes no sense.
And like Ridley Scott was like interviewed saying like, look, there was like an ocean nearby. They could have done it. They would have done it. And it's like, no.
It made no sense.
That would be
I have seen the Coliseum in
person.
No way.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me you can fill that
not.
Water.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I wrote in my review that it's just one of those movies where like the first movie resolves itself and it's like, all right, sweet, now we're going to have Peace for Rome. And then this movie's like, hey, it's 20 years later, Peace for Rome didn't happen. But at the end of this movie, it's going to happen. So then it's, it's just like, all right, well, I'll see you for Gladiator 3 in 20 years.
That doesn't bother me so much because
it bothers me.
It doesn't bother me so much because like that's how real life works, Like That's exactly how, like, if you think about, like, our government, our politics, you know, you get a president and you're like, oh, things are going to change. Things are going to get better. And then, like, you know, 8 years later, you get a new president and things get significantly worse.
Yeah, this is like a Best Picture winning movie, Gladiator 1. So, like, I don't know. Like, you make a sequel and it's just like, hey, let's just undo the story of the first movie and turn it into a blockbuster spectacle like that. I don't know, that kind of I can't really use that word, but
like a slap in the face.
Yeah, it's like a slap in the face. Yeah. But then the next day we went and saw Wicked. What'd you think of that?
It was great. It was fantastic. I do not like musicals. I was very curious to see if I would enjoy this movie. And I think at the very beginning, at the start, I was like, oh, here we go. Like, because it is for sure a musical from the jump. And I was a little concerned for a second there. But as, you know, the movie progressed and I saw the story, because I also don't know, I didn't go in knowing anything about the Broadway show.
Yeah, I don't.
Again, I'm not really a theater person. I'm not really like into musicals. I've seen like The Lion King on Broadway, and that's about it.
Same. I've seen Jersey Boys.
Nice. That's more.
It's pretty good. I gotta say, go see that.
Yeah. But yeah. So as the story progressed, and I got to like understand, like, oh, this movie's like got some very, very interesting messaging and like great messaging.
Yeah, the themes were on point. Honestly.
Yeah, and then you finish it off with freaking Cynthia Erivo just crushing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you sold me.
Yeah. Defying Gravity.
Beautiful.
I want to say I've streamed that song like 20 times in the past week and a half.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Maybe
good.
not 20, maybe 15, but like
it's one of those performances that gives you chills. Like
I actually
gives you chills.
Yes, like I literally listened to it on Sunday while I was playing a video game, and I got chills while I was playing. I was like, I get chills freaking like every time I listen to that song. I'm like, how on earth?
Yeah,
it's good. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Even though there are parts of the song where it's like,
yeah.
And she's like,
the talking parts, fly or whatever.
Fly, yeah. Yeah, take your broom and
I know.
fly.
It kind of like is jarring. It kind of
Yeah.
like takes. You're like, whoa.
I think the part where she's like, wait, it's me, and then she goes, it's me. but then it like erupts into just like, you're like, oh my god.
It's like you have to remember, like, this is a musical. It's meant to be like that. But yeah, no, it was. I needed more Cynthia. Like,
yeah, she was great.
Yeah, it was just fantastic.
We had like a whole debate on whether this movie was gonna get nominated or like win certain things, and you think it's gonna win Best Picture.
I think it should win Best Picture.
But so there's this, there's the whole like emeritus argument of like, if there's a planned sequel, then shouldn't the sequel win Best Picture? That's because that's what happened for the Lord of the Rings movies, right? Yeah. Like, if the first Lord of the Rings movie had won Best Picture, and then they made the next two movies, and the next movies are like better than the first one, then like, isn't that kind of awkward? But then the third movie like swept that year. And it was like, the planned final one because they filmed them all back to back to back, right? So it's kind of like the way of saying like, here's Best Picture for the trilogy that you created. So that's my argument for why Wicked Part 1 would not win Best Picture.
Yeah, but my argument against that was like, okay, the only other, in my opinion, contender for Best Picture that would potentially take it over Wicked would be Dune 2. But to me, Dune 2 is just not as good of a movie as Wicked is. Like, to me, it's not deserving of Best Picture compared to Wicked.
See, now
and the impact that Wicked has had.
Dune is a part 2 of a planned
I know,
duology.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying,
so
like, according to your thing.
But Dune 2 was like so much better than Dune 1.
Sure, but is it better than Wicked? No.
I think it could be.
I think
it is.
I think in terms of like not just like quality of movie, because I mean both are very great quality movies, but going beyond that, you have I think for Best Picture it's about messaging, it's about the quality of the movie, and I feel like a piece of it is also just like how much it hit audiences. And I feel like Wicked just touched audiences in a much more significant way than Dune 2 did. Like Dune 2, we were so focused on the worm bucket, like popcorn bucket.
Hey, don't underestimate the power of the cultural moment of the Dune popcorn bucket.
Yeah.
Well, the Golden Globe nominations came out. Have you looked at them?
I have not.
All right, I'm going to quickly run you through them. All right.
Yeah.
We got best, and these are typically indicative of what's going to get nominated at the Oscars, right?
Right.
So we've got best motion picture drama, and then best motion picture musical or comedy, and there's 6 movies nominated in each, and the Oscars typically nominates 10 movies for best picture, something like that. Mm-hmm. So for best motion picture drama, the nominees are A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan movie with Timothée Chalamet; Conclave, the Pope movie with Ralph Fiennes; Dune Part 2, as we know; Nickel Boys, which is like a first-person perspective. I don't quite know what the story is, but seems good. September 5th, which is about Munich in the 1970s, and I watched the trailer for that one. And I watched the trailer for all of these movies, and I thought, dang, these all look pretty good. But September 5th stood out the most to me. And then The Brutalist, which is a movie about immigration starring Adrian Brody. Then we have Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy. We've got A Real Pain, the Jesse Eisenberg, other Culkin.
McCulkin.
Yeah, Kieran McCulkin.
Kieran Culkin.
Kieran Culkin. McCulkin.
I was thinking of Macaulay Culkin.
It's weird. You don't think about the fact that their last name's Culkin, right?
Yeah.
He's another Culkin. Wow, that sounds really funny now that you put it. He's always just been Macaulay Culkin's brother, but now it's just a Culkin. Anyway.
I love Kieran.
Yeah, Kieran's great. Okay, so we have A Real Pain, Anora, which we watched and we really liked. Mm-hmm. Challengers, what up?
That is not gonna win.
No, but
I would be surprised if it got nominated.
Can it get nominated for Best Picture?
I highly doubt it.
I would be
That'd be
so
crazy.
Freaking stoked if that
crazy.
happened.
I would be shocked. I'd be like, wow, I can't believe they nominated that.
It's funny because Luca Guadagnino made 2 movies this year, because Challengers Challengers was ready to come out last year. They just waited to put it out till this year.
He made the one with James Bond, Daniel Craig.
Yeah, Queer.
Yeah,
Daniel Craig.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Craig,
not Craig. Craig.
I don't know who told you that.
You are the one that's doing it. So it's funny because he put out 2 movies and people are like, "Oh, Queer's great," but no, Challengers was nominated between the 2 of them. Besides that, we have Amelia Perez, which is Zoe
Saldana,
Selena Gomez, and I don't know the woman's name, but she's the one that plays Amelia Perez, and that's supposed to be a cartel musical. Mm-hmm. And then we've got The Substance, which I heard was good. A lot of people said it was good. Yeah, and then Wicked.
All I'm saying is, of all those choices, half of them I never even heard of. The other half I have heard of, but I don't think is deserving of Best Picture. Maybe not a nomination, but definitely not deserving of it. And so that leaves Dune 2 and Wicked. And maybe if I could see them nominating Gladiator for Best Picture. I don't think it should win at all. And if you're going between Dune 2 and Wicked, I really feel like Wicked is the superior movie.
I think Sonic the Hedgehog 3 should be nominated for Best Picture.
No. Can it be nominated for animation?
No.
Oh, why not?
Because it's not an animated movie.
Oh, Oh, yeah. I forgot there's real people in it.
As much of an animated movie it is,
I know.
It's not an animated movie.
I literally forgot.
That's hilarious.
We've seen those movies so many times, and I'm still like, it's an animated movie.
Right.
You just forget that there's real people in it.
But
yeah, I don't know. That's my take. Curious to hear other people's thoughts.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm interested to see the
part
nominations.
Thing,
yeah.
But I
think it's gonna go to one of these, artsier fartsier movies like The Brutalist or September 5th or something.
I think if it did, people would be highly upset.
I don't know. September 5th looks pretty good. Like as soon as they have the opportunity to watch that, like I watched that trailer and I was like, ooh.
But the past few years, like it's always gone to a movie that, like, for the most part, people across the board are like, yeah, that makes sense. Like that was a great movie, Well, that, larger audiences have seen.
It would be cool to have a year where it's not clear who the winner's going to be, which is what happened at the Game Awards this year.
I feel like you can't put Wicked and Dune 2 in a category with those movies and have those movies come out on top.
I don't know, but those are such like blockbuster movies.
But it doesn't matter. La La Land, blockbuster movie. Like
that movie didn't win Best Picture. It lost to Moonlight, which was the artsier fartsier movie.
That's fair, but it's also, I mean,
that was the year that the whole mix up happened, which was quality television. It was peak television.
What won Best Picture last year?
Last year, what won Best Picture? Oppenheimer.
Exactly.
But that's like a blockbuster with a message, And
what is Wicked? A blockbuster with a message. I'm telling you. I feel like if you have a movie that is a blockbuster, has a fantastic
set a dangerous
message.
Precedent. I think Wicked Part 2 in 2025 will win at the Oscars in 2026.
I think it should win. Man, why can't it win both?
But okay. The only thing in favor of your argument there is that people I know who have seen the Wicked musical are like, I don't know how they're going to stretch out the second half of this to be like as long as the first half.
Right.
Which I think is weird because a musical like this, like where this one ends is where intermission would happen.
Yeah.
If you were seeing the musical, are they saying the second half? Like the second act of Wicked is like not as long as the first act?
I don't know. But there's so much build up, I feel like, in the first half that like maybe the second half just doesn't have as much stuff. It's kind of just like you hit it and run,
right?
And then just
I've heard there's like less, like we've already hit like the big tracks,
right? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like we've hit the biggest moments.
So that would stand to reason that if it was
win.
ever going to win,
it should win
now
this year.
Would be the time.
I think it should.
All right.
I think it should.
We'll see.
What was not nominated for a Golden Globe that I think will be nominated for Best Picture is We Live in Time.
Oh, yeah. What the heck?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was nominated in a different category, but you didn't list it off just now.
Yeah. It was... Wow. Yeah. I'm just not on here at all.
Wow.
Not even like for Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
So I feel like it should be nominated.
Glenn Powell got for Hitman. Interesting. Jesse Plemons in Kinds of Kindness got a nomination.
Wow.
Now I know they're tripping. All right. Well, let's move on to the next topic.
Okay.
Which is we started. No. I'll come back to that. So we went and saw those movies. We watched Nutcrackers, Dear Santa. Then we went and saw Gladiator and Wicked. Then we did a little back-to-back double Netflix feature this past weekend. And not really back-to-back, but we watched Carry On, which was... Taron Egerton and Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
Airport movie.
Yeah.
Christmas
If
action
you like Die
flick.
Hard, you'll love Carry On.
If you like Die Hard 2, you'll especially like Carry On because they both take place in airports on Christmas. That's a good airport Christmas double feature right there. Die Hard 2 and Carry On. Highly recommend. Go check that out.
Yeah.
Would you recommend Carry On? Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. I had a great time.
Cool.
I feel like you like critiqued it more, and I was like, it gave me exactly what I needed.
Yeah,
it wasn't supposed to be a perfect movie. I was expecting it to have its flaws.
I'd give it a 3.5.
I give it a freaking 4.
Whoa.
4.5 maybe.
What?
No, I give it a 4.
That's whack.
I give it a 4.
Yeah. I think it's a 3.5 at best.
I had fun watching it. It kept me on my toes. I was like, oh, what's gonna happen next? Oh no.
Yeah. It's just a quick summary of what the movie's about. Jason Bateman convinces Taron Egerton, who is a TSA agent, that he has to let this like sketchy bag go through the TSA scanner, or else bad things are gonna happen. Yeah. And I'll just leave it there.
I was telling my coworker about it because she was telling me how this past weekend she really wanted to watch some Christmas movies. And so I asked her, I was like, hey, did you get through your Christmas movies? And she told me 2 of them that she watched with her wife. And I was like, well, if you like something like Die Hard and you want something a little bit more action-packed, you should watch the movie Carry On. And she was like, I saw the ad for that. She was like, is it a Christmas movie? I was like, it's a non-Christmassy Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's a movie that takes place around Christmas.
Yeah, during Christmas time, but it's not. Christmas is not the focus.
Okay, but you also you just said if you like Die Hard, but you want something more action packed.
Sorry. No, that's not what I meant.
That is not true at all.
I said if you want. When I said more action packed, I meant more action packed than the Christmas movie she watched.
Gotcha.
Not more action packed than Die Hard.
Yeah, no. It doesn't get more action packed than Die Hard. Okay, well, after we watched Carry On, we watched a movie called Subservience.
Yes.
I
had to convince you to watch it.
It didn't take that long to convince me.
I knew. So
I think once I saw the little Netflix preview, I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
If you haven't seen the Netflix preview, it's basically this Megan Fox movie. And think of if you combined the movie Megan, with the robot doll, with the movie Obsessed with Beyonce. Put those 2 together, it's this movie.
Yeah.
And I saw the little preview for it, and I was like, oh my gosh, babe, we gotta watch this. This looks horrible.
Yeah.
And it looks like I'm gonna love it.
It was bad. So Megan Fox is basically a robot that, she'll help take care of your kids.
Any other needs you might have.
Right. Oh, you're stressed. What can we do to reduce your stress levels?
Your wife's in the hospital.
Your wife's in the hospital.
Help at home?
Right. Your kids like it when I wear your wife's clothes. It soothes them.
And when I use her voice.
Right. And then he's like, what are you doing wearing my wife's robe? Take it off now. And she's like, okay.
It's so great. I absolutely loved it. I loved it so much because it's so terrible. I love a good bad movie.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Go watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's worth watching. There are some parts worth
friends.
watching. Anyway,
what?
What was that? Anyway, we all grew up with Megan Fox. Anyway,
what's that supposed to mean?
Nothing.
Excuse me,
We all grew up with a crush on her after watching Transformers 1. Do you remember that shot of her abs in Transformers 1?
Gosh.
Everybody remembers the abs.
Everyone knows that shot.
Yeah, it's the shot. Anyway, that's all I'm saying. Just, if you kind of forgot about that, go get reminded. Anyway, moving along, and we've started watching, we haven't finished this movie yet, we started watching Red One.
Yes. Which it feels like a super long movie.
Surprisingly feels very long, yeah.
We've been trying to watch it. It's been 3 days now of us watching it.
Well, we've sat down to watch it
2 days.
For 2 days, or twice.
Yeah.
And
still not done with it.
We're still not done with it. It's 2 hours and 3 minutes.
Goodness. I gotta say, I don't think I'm enjoying it.
I'm
very confused who the audience is because it's got the silliness. It's very silly, like you would expect in a children's movie.
But it's a full-blown PG-13 movie.
Yeah, they swear and
there's girls in bikinis and they're like, oh yeah, let's go get boba, girl.
Yeah, it's very strange. And like it's too CG. It's too much CGI. Too much.
And it's got like Marvel action. I mean, Chris Evans is in it, but yeah, I don't know. It's doing that like
doing
gritty,
a terrible New York accent. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's terrible, but it's an annoying New York accent.
Yeah. Out of character.
Yeah, it doesn't fit him.
Right. And it just doesn't even need to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when people complain that like comic book movies just like everything needed to be gritty, and it's like The Rock said, "Oh, hey, wait, guys, we never did that for Santa Claus. Let me take care of that." And that's what this movie is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not having a good time. I gotta say.
Yeah, but I'll finish it.
Well, yeah. Well, I feel like I've invested 2 days into it already. I have to finish it.
This movie goes like heavy on Christmas lore. The last scene we saw was they went to go visit Krampus, which like I kind of was falling asleep during the whole Krampus part.
We're still on that scene.
But I gotta say, like, if they wanted to cut it for time, they could have. They just did it so that they could cram all the Christmas lore into this movie as much as possible, so that they could be like, oh yeah, this gritty Santa universe, let's just do all of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot.
I like Lucy Liu though.
Sure.
But I love anything that she does.
Yeah. I mean, she's there.
Yeah. I'm getting kicked.
By the baby?
Yeah.
All right. And then before we still got more stuff to talk about. So we started watching 3 separate TV shows, 2 of which we've already watched before, but there's new seasons.
Yeah.
So the first of which I will talk about is the new Star Wars show, Skeleton Crew. We started watching this together. I convinced you to start watching it with me, and now we've watched 3 episodes. 4th episode comes out today, and now I think you're just in it, and you have to keep watching it with me. So, what do you think of that?
It's okay, and that's really all I feel.
You don't like? Do you like the kids? Do you like the writing?
I like some of the kids.
Do you like the vibes?
Okay, I'll tell you. There's this little elephant kid. I don't know if he's an elephant or what he is. He looks like an elephant.
Yeah.
And he is the most adorable thing ever, and I love him, and I love his character.
Yeah.
And
he's played by the kid from Dear Santa, who's like the main kid in Dear Santa, and I like that kid.
Yeah.
Keep putting him in stuff, please.
Yeah. He's pretty much the one thing kind of keeping me invested in the show. I mean, I do like Jude Law. I am enjoying Jude Law in this show.
Jude Law's in the show.
Yeah, I'm enjoying him. I mean, the other kids are cool too. The main kid kind of annoys me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, the main kid.
He's very childish. Which,
you don't,
he's a kid,
right? He is a kid. Like that's the thing. You don't want to tell a kid that they need to grow up, but then you look at this kid in the context of everything that's happening around him
and the other kids,
and you're like, oh no, this kid needs to grow up, and that's you feel bad for thinking it.
Yeah,
but it's true.
Yeah, I just can't help it. It's like he does something and I'm like, oh,
right.
And so that's a hard thing, but trying to remind myself he's a child. He's just a child. He's got a
vivid imagination.
Yeah. But the other kids are like, they make wise decisions,
right?
And things like that, or like they realize when they probably shouldn't do something and when they should do something, and this kid just does not. He just has no impulse control.
I know, but it's like, as an adult, like you yearn for those days where you didn't care so much about what other people thought, and you had more of an imagination, and we miss those times when we're adults. Life gets real, but it's like, so that's where I feel, sad. Mm-hmm. Judging this kid for not being able to navigate a life and death situation as a kid with an active imagination.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we also picked up Arcane season 2. How many episodes of that have we watched? Like 3? I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't really tell you what's going on. The Undercity. They gotta fight the Undercity.
It's just like the Undercity is just like destroying everything,
everybody, everything,
and it's getting out of hand. But isn't this the final season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the second season, but yeah, it's the final season.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I mean, I'm enjoying it.
Name me one character's name that's not Jinx.
Shoot. What's the one girl? Her name's like Allison or something. It's not.
See,
Allison.
you can't even do it.
It's not. What's the something Meyer? Isn't there a Victor?
There's always a Victor, right?
The one guy, the guy
with the accent.
Yeah.
Victor.
Yeah. What's the girl's name? The police girl.
I like her. She's my favorite.
Her. Yeah.
Caitlin.
Okay, Allison's pretty close. I knew it was like a basic name.
Really not.
I knew it was like a typical name because I feel like everybody else has like non-typical names. What's the pink-haired girl's name?
Vi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jace. That's the that one guy, the scientist guy.
The scientist guy. Yeah. What's the black woman's name?
Mel. Yep.
Got you. What's the little creature's
Additional
name?
voices.
The one who was his mentor. That was Jace's mentor.
Oh,
Heimerdinger.
Yeah. That's fun to say. That's fun to say.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out his name.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a good show. I just like I kind of struggle to like if you'd asked me to summarize the story to you, I would give you a very disjointed explanation. Yeah.
Fair.
And then we started the third and I think final season of Beastars.
Yes.
Excited?
Yeah, I was super excited for it to come back. I was like, it's coming back. And the day it was released, I was like, it's up.
Yeah, you wasted no time. We watched it that night.
Yeah. It's interesting, to say the least.
Beastars as a property or like this specific season?
I mean, this season is. Beastars as a property is quite wild.
It's fascinating. I actually like. I don't think I know anybody outside of us who has actually watched it, and I do think more people should watch it. I was a little like averse to it because it's like one of those anime where like some of it is 3D animation on the actual like characters because they're like animals and stuff, but like the story is actually very, very compelling.
Yeah. It's like, it's kind of off-putting. Like when you watch the first season, it's a little off-putting because you're like, oh, weird. These are animals, but like they're very human-like,
right?
And like in many ways, some that are more like, whoa, what am I looking at than others. But not as you go through the story and like just like how this society works, it's very fascinating, and it's like kind of mimicking things that we see in
classism,
our world. Yeah.
racism,
exactly, like segregation.
Yep.
Like it's crazy how
then it's like, but what if one of those groups just had a natural instinct to want to eat everybody because they're animals, right? So some of them are carnivores and they just like naturally have an instinct to want to eat other animals, but they live in a polite society where they're all like, humanoid, but they're still animals.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, the wolf and the bunny are friends, but the wolf is like, wait, but I want to eat her.
But he's also in love with her.
But he's also in love with her.
It's crazy.
So it's like, the contention of like that, those emotions and those feelings. Yeah. And it really like, it does quite a remarkable job at like exploring the full depth of all of that, not just for like that specific character relationship, but like the society and the implications of like, what would this be like? What would the underworld be like in this world?
Throw in some drugs.
Yeah, throw drugs in there
and see like drugs that make their instincts even worse, right. And then they're having withdrawals, which makes them like maybe want to eat each other,
right? Like, or they go to the black market and it's like hey, you can get a piece of meat to eat if you go to the black market. And it's like, oh my, well, so it's like if in real life we were like, half of us were just like, man, I really want to go talk to my drug dealer about eating a hand. Like, what? It's wild. It's very good.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend more people should check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now that's okay. So we've got through all the things that we have done together.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yes.
And then Sonic the Hedgehog 3 comes out this weekend, and we're gonna go see it with my family at Christmas. But I'm also gonna go watch it with my buddy, who we're both big Sonic fans.
Traitor.
In a couple of days. It just is what it is, and I'm happy to get to watch it twice. So
Telling your whole family.
I'm going to try to very quickly give a summary of all of the video games that I have played in the past 5 weeks. So buckle up for this portion of the show. If you don't want to listen to this, then skip ahead. Maybe I put the timestamps in the show notes. Maybe I didn't. But if they're there, feel free to skip ahead if you don't want to hear this part. Okay, so last time I gave an update that I was playing a lot of Silent Hill 2 and Shenmue. I have since finished both of those. I finished them before the honeymoon that we went on, and Shenmue was very good. I will probably never play it again because it actually is too old, but it's got, like I said on all the other episodes where I've talked about it, it had such a good vibe, and I've been listening to the soundtrack like nonstop. I did start playing Shenmue 2, which has some quality of life improvements that make it feel like a more replayable game, but I'm not so far as into the setting as I am in the first one, because the first one is like you're in this like wintry small Japanese town, and then the second one you're in Hong Kong, which is much more like bustling city, and I kind of really liked the small town vibe, and then the whole big city thing is not doing it as much for me, but we'll see. I want to keep playing it, but I don't think I'm going to rush doing that. It also helped that Shenmue 1 took place like on a calendar during December, and then Shenmue 2 takes place in like January. So I'm like, you know what? Like right now ain't the vibe for January video game. So that's been going on. And then I finished Silent Hill 2, and I gotta say the story was like a whole something. But like I had to read some analyses on it, and it was actually quite good. I think like horror game wise, it's very well made, and I've thought a lot about it since I finished it, and I actually I would really like to replay it. And I think that's like what I like about horror video games, is that I really like to replay them. And this one just kind of has like that kind of story where it feels like every time you play it, you're going to pick up something new. It's like watching a Christopher Nolan movie, Like, I didn't fully understand Inception until I'd watched it 3 times. I feel like that's what Silent Hill 2 is like, and I look forward to in later moments in life when I choose to play this game again. Beyond that, I played a kind of a cult classic game that celebrated its 20th anniversary called Beyond Good and Evil. It's an Ubisoft game. I'm not a big fan of Ubisoft's business practices, as well as their like company culture, but I haven't really enjoyed Ubisoft's games almost ever. Like there's like maybe like 3 that I've enjoyed in the entire history of them as a company. But I decided to play Beyond Good and Evil because it celebrated its 20th anniversary. They re-released it, and Beyond Good and Evil 2 has kind of just been this like amorphous thing that has just kind of like been in development hell ever since 2008. They announced Beyond Good and Evil 1 came out 2004, 2003, and they announced Beyond Good and Evil 2 in 2008, and then it's just kind of been this like technology development dump for that company. Play Beyond Good and Evil 1, and I can recognize that there are like some good ideas in this game that are just like too big for the technology at the time, so you can understand why beyond like a sequel is appealing to them, but also how it could just crazily get carried away with scope creep. And that seems to be the case of like what has happened. And I think they've reused the technology that they've developed for that game for their other games like Star Wars Outlaws. They developed a technology of like, oh, you could fly your ship from space onto like the surface of a planet. They did that for Beyond Good and Evil 2, but they ended up reusing that for Star Wars Outlaws. So that all to say, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is probably never going to happen, but to educate myself a little bit on a piece of gaming history, I decided to play the first one, and, it was all right. I gave it like a 3 out of 5. No, I gave it a 2.5. Ooh, I said it was okay. It just had a lot of stuff that just didn't really age well, and I think there's like other games that you can look at, like its contemporaries at the time, that did age a lot better than it did. So, 2.5 out of 5 on that one. Then I decided to play. Here's the thing. I've been playing a lot of like older games. Aaliyah's putting the microphone up to her belly because I think the baby's kicking, and she's trying to get them to pick up on the podcast. Did it?
Sorry, I was seeing if it was gonna work.
Well, keep trying. That's fine. So here's the thing. I've been playing. I kind of like bought. Okay, I went on a little bit of a frenzy, like buying games during Cyber Monday because there was a ton of deals. I've been keeping like a wish list on my Switch and on my PlayStation, and I just saw a whole bunch of stuff was on sale, so I ended up buying a whole bunch of stuff. And a lot of what drove my purchasing decisions was trying to find games that in some way, shape, or form captured some part of like the essence of the type of video game that I have in my head that I would like to one day make, because it doesn't exist. So I'm kind of like taking notes of like older games, because I want to make, if I ever did make a game, I want mine to like kind of feel like it's from the early 2000s era, but still be like, fun to play in the modern era. So I've been kind of like looking at games from that era to play that I've never played but always wanted to play, that kind of like get at the same types of ideas that I have. So one of those was Beyond Good and Evil. One of those was Shenmue. And another one of those was Devil May Cry. So I played the original Devil May Cry. I'd only ever played, they did like a remake Devil May Cry game in 2012 or 2013, which was my first one, and it was pretty good. Like, and by remake I mean like complete like reboot, overhaul, like not even the same game. And then they did Devil May Cry 5, which I played, which was super good. They went back to the main story and they said, all right, 5, we're doing it. So they made Devil May Cry 5. Played it, loved it, came out in 2019. It was great. That's a 5 out of 5. It's an amazing game. So I I played Devil May Cry 1 for the first time, and I bought Devil May Cry 2 and Devil May Cry 3 and Devil May Cry 4. So I plan to play all of those. Devil May Cry 2 supposedly sucks, but I'm kind of excited to play it. I finished Devil May Cry 1, and I gotta say, it was an incredibly hard game, but it was very fun. I actually really enjoyed it, and it made me realize how much of like Devil May Cry 1 exists in Devil May Cry 5. Like, there's actually there's a lot more going on in Devil May Cry 5, but it's really crazy to like play both of them and see how much like stuck around through the whole series. Okay, moving along. Pretty much like all of this past weekend, I played Black Myth Wukong, which is it's a video game adaptation, almost like sequel to the famous Chinese novel Journey to the West, where you play as Sun Wukong, the Monkey King. And the game, I don't think you're actually playing as Wukong in the game. You're playing as a monkey, though, and you have a staff, and it's just kind of like really, it's fun. It's a little repetitive, but it's fun. Like the bosses are really interesting, and like it gives me a sense of accomplishment every time I defeat a boss, and it's really just like boss after boss after boss, with a little bit of combat with like non-boss enemies in between, but it's mostly just like you get to a boss, you get stuck, you learn their fight pattern, and then eventually you succeed. And I mean, it's the same feeling that you get from playing like a From Software game. That's your Dark Souls, your Elden Rings, your Sekiros, your Bloodborns. So yeah, Wukong tries to kind of emulate the same type of thing, but with like a slightly simpler combat system that still kind of has its own robust features to it, but not as robust as like From Software games. But I think that actually makes it slightly more accessible to people. And so I've really been enjoying it because it is a bit more of a linear game that is like that. So I actually like it quite a bit. I would love to finish it. I want to say I'm about halfway through chapter 3, and I believe it's only 5 chapters. It might be 6 chapters. So it's good. I plan to keep on playing that. Only other game that I will mention is Metaphor ReFantasio, which I didn't buy Metaphor ReFantasio because it wasn't on sale, but I did play the demo. I didn't finish the demo because I decided that I really liked the game, and that if the demo is it's one of those demos where you have to start the demo, or you start the demo and it's the beginning of the game. And if you finish the demo and then you buy the full game, you can continue your progress from the game, from the demo into the game. And so I was like, Metaphor ReFantasio is made by the studio that makes the Persona games, and I really love Persona 4 and Persona 5, and Persona 3 Reload came out earlier this year, and I'd never played Persona 3, but Persona 3 Reload was like a remake of 3, and I started it, I got about halfway through it until I was kind of like, gosh, I've been playing way too many RPGs, and I just kind of was like burnt out on RPGs and didn't really want to keep playing it, so I ended up playing like Uncharted 4 instead as a palate cleanser, and then I just didn't really want to go back. So Metaphor ReFantasio, I was really excited because it's like the new game from that studio. They haven't made anything since Persona 5, which was in 2017. And suddenly I was like burnt out on RPGs and wasn't interested in playing Metaphor ReFantasio. So then it came out, and then it got like critical acclaim. It got nominated for Best Game of the Year, and it ended up winning Best Narrative and Best RPG. Best RPG over Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which was like my second favorite game this year behind Balatro. And so, yeah, I was like, all right, well, let me also like try the demo just to like get a sense of like what I actually want to play this game. And I tried it, and I was like, oh, crap. The story's like really interesting, and the vibe of the whole thing is just like very unique, and it really feels like I'm playing Persona 6 without playing Persona 6, and I'm just like, oh, you know what? I really want to play this, but I'm holding off. I do not have the time to actually play all of these games. We have a child on the way. That's another big factor. Can't really get embroiled in a massive RPG with that on the horizon. But also, like, the successor to the Nintendo Switch is supposed to come out next year, and I think if I'm ever going to play RPGs, they need to be, like, on a handheld, because there's so much time that you have to invest, and when it comes to, like, playing a 60, 70, 80-hour game in front of your TV, that's like a whole production. It's a whole to-do. And being able to do something like that on a handheld device where, like, I could play it on an airplane, and, you know, every time I go on a trip from coast to coast, like, that's like 12 hours of flying round trip. That's perfect. Do a few of those, just play that game throughout the year. Boom, like, got it done on planes. So I'm holding off, and I'm crossing my fingers that game will be available to play on a mobile device of some kind. Supposedly it's on the Steam Deck, but I'm not going to do that. Steam Deck is its own money sink. So that was all of the games that I have played. So there you go.
Yeah. while we're on the topic of games, I just want to point out that we watched the Game Awards with some friends of ours, and we started last year doing a, not a bracket, but like
it's like a prediction competition.
Yeah. And I was leading the whole entire time, and we ended up tying, me and you, at the end for the same amount of correct predictions. Which is crazy because I don't know any of these games, and I just guess based on, I think I've heard about this one, and I say, I've heard about this one more than I've heard about this one. I'm going to choose that. And you go based on like your knowledge, the games
podcasts I listen to. Yeah.
And for me to be like, I was leading over you by like 2 wins for majority of the show, and then at the very end I kind of slipped a little bit on some of my picks, and we ended up tying. And so I just want to toot my own horn.
Yeah, I collected information from like 4 different sources. Yeah. And then myself as the 5th source.
And I made my predictions in like 2 minutes because everybody was like, Aaliyah, get your picks in.
Yeah. I made some last minute changes the morning of, based on a podcast that I listened to, that I felt like pretty confident based on like when I listened to their argument for why certain things were going to win. I was like, oh, that's right. That makes total sense. And so I changed some of mine, and I would have won those if I had kept my original choices. However, here's the thing. The Game Awards works in this way where, for like, if something is nominated for Game of the Year, but then it's also nominated for like a genre category, like Best Action Game, Best Action Adventure Game, even Best Indie Game, right? Like, there are these sub-classifications of games that exist that you can win awards for. And so, like, Balatro, for example, was the only game in the Best Indie Game category that was nominated for Game of the Year. So, by default, Balatro's going to win Best Indie Game, Best Debut Indie Game, and Best Mobile Game, because it's the only one in those 3 categories that was nominated for Game of the Year. And you made the interesting choice of not choosing Balatro for all 3 of those, even though that was like beyond like GTA 6 being the most anticipated game. Like the only other obvious wins was going to be Balatro in those 3 categories, and you chose Animal Well for one of them.
When I make my picks, I'm using no logic.
Right.
I'm literally just picking things, and then I like to just sprinkle in other stuff. So I'm like, oh, I've picked this one like 3 times. That feels like a lot. Let me just choose a different game.
My God.
So that's literally how I approach making picks.
And we tied. Granted, we beat everybody else. There's 5 of us in this little competition. We beat everybody else. Yeah. But yeah, you just won, just guessing.
I'm telling you, literally no logic.
So we tied with like 17 out of 29 guessed correctly. And yeah, you would have gotten 18 out of 29 if you had just played the game within the game.
I like to just go with the wind. I like to
go with the wind.
Yeah, I like to just, I've never chosen this one yet. I haven't chosen this one yet. Let me just choose this so that it doesn't feel left out.
Well, some notable game announcements from the Game Awards. Let's see. We got a trailer for Naughty Dog's new intellectual property, Beyond The Last of Us. It's called Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. Do you recall this trailer?
Of course. It looked really cool.
It doesn't look really cool? It looks super cool.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
I like the whole like Porsche spaceship design thing.
There was a lot of product placement.
There was a ton of product. I was kind of into it. I was like, yeah, I for one am ready to bow down to my corporate overlords. Yeah, she was wearing like Adidas shoes. She had a Sony sound system in her Porsche spaceship. Yeah.
Kumail's face was
in
just
it.
on it.
Kumail's face was
that
there.
felt a little jarring. I was like, that's so random.
That had me excited. That I think that was like the perfect little tease of like, hey, this might be kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know? So we got that. We got a trailer for the next game from the studio that made It Takes Two. It's called Split Fiction, and it's another co-op game that looks just like the perfect follow-up to It Takes Two. Are you excited for that?
I am. I'm a little nervous. It feels more
Action-y.
like action-y than It Takes Two, and I feel like I already wasn't great at It Takes Two. Like, you had a lot of patience with me during It Takes Two.
That was the point of the game.
Yeah, so I'm a little nervous that I'm not going to be very good at it, but excited to try it.
I think It Takes Two did have a good like balance of gameplay styles, but like I think you're misremembering how much combat really was in that game.
Yeah.
Which there was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Split Fiction does look like a bit more. There was an announcement trailer for a game being made by the director of Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Last Guardian. And Shadow of the Colossus is a fantastic, beautiful game. It's like the game that got the conversation started on like, can video games be art? And so that guy's working on something new, which is very exciting. The developers of Sifu decided to make a soccer game. I'm not a soccer fan, but I want to play this game.
I was like, that's basically FIFA, and you all came for me.
Oh,
You're like,
my
it's
God, yeah.
not FIFA.
We were like, it literally could not be any more different than what FIFA is actually like to play.
Yeah.
This is like way more. This is like a third-person action game, but you're playing soccer. FIFA is like you're looking at the whole field. It's like you're watching a soccer match, and you're like, I cannot tell what's going on. I'll just pass from that guy to that guy. Maybe do a quick slide tackle.
FIFA. It was so
bad. It's so boring.
I was so bad at it.
No judgment towards people that enjoy it, but
I
like
know a lot of people who love FIFA.
Yeah, but like I'm good. They announced the sequel to Okami. That's very exciting. They announced a new Virtua Fighter game. I don't know if I'll play it, but that's exciting. They announced a multiplayer Elden Ring standalone game. Also very exciting. Probably won't play it. And The Witcher 4 got a reveal trailer, which very excited for those people. There are just some games where I'm like, I won't play that because it's too big. And The Witcher 3 is one of those. And so, I mean, but like there are certain exceptions, like, you know, Grand Theft Auto 6. I'll probably play that. Yeah, okay. Game Awards. Oh, and Astrobot took home Game of the Year. I would say, I think this was actually a great Game Awards. Indiana Jones was there, like the game, and also Harrison Ford, like literally showed up, which was cool. And they just had like a lot of good announcements, a lot of good presenters, and it felt like everybody won except for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is a little sad, but it's fine. I'm just crying in Sephiroth tears over here.
They won for music.
They won for music.
Which makes
Final Fantasy
total
wins
sense.
for music every freaking year. Final Fantasy 16 won last year, and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth won this year. Granted, yes, they were both like banger soundtracks, but yeah, I mean, Metaphor won Best RPG, Astrobot won Best Action Adventure Game, Black Myth Wukong won Best Action Game, Astrobot won Best Game Direction and Game of the Year. And Metaphor ReFantazio got Best Narrative. So, you know, a little bit of everything won. And Balatro won 3 awards, just like by default. So I was pretty happy with this year's Game Awards.
I feel like they shouldn't even call it an award show because it's a showcase.
This is a
featuring
common
a
criticism.
few awards.
It is a game showcase with awards. Yes.
I'm like, we do an hour of just trailers, and then Jeff Keighley comes out and goes, all right, here's the winner of 5 categories. Back to the trailers. Yeah. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
why?
Yeah. Jeff's been doing this a long time, right? Like, this was the 10-year anniversary of the Game Awards. And before that, he was involved with the VGAs, the Video Game Awards. And then before that, it was like the Spike TV Awards. And so, like, Jeff's been like part of this process along the way. And I think he clearly just saw an opportunity for them to actually like announce stuff at these things, and that's what gets people to watch it. You know, like if you really want to watch like genuine awards for games, the DICE Awards are for that. Or like,
so then why have this as an awards thing? Like, why have awards for this and not just do a winter showcase?
You know, it's a social thing, right? Like, I mean, you also get people talking about games at the end of the year, right? Mm-hmm. It's
like a reflection.
Yeah, it's a reflection on the end of the year. It's like, hey, here are all of the things that we can celebrate from this past year, and here are things that are to come. And it's, you know, it's a celebration of the industry at the end of the year. It's in December. It's just, you know, around Christmas time. It's just a good time for that.
Well, I need people to get their outfits together in advance.
What?
Because the outfits that people were, I had a bone to pick with everybody's outfit. I just did not like the outfits that people chose to wear. I feel like
we need more like red carpet outfits.
Yeah, we need designers like coming and designing things for.
I think we need
people in the industry.
I think we need the like concept artists that work for these game companies to be like designing. Well, like the fashion for like, instead of showing up and saying, oh, I'm wearing Guess, I want you to show up saying like, oh, I'm wearing something designed by Raf Grassetti, who is like an artist, like the artist lead of like God of War. You know?
It can be a collaboration between the designer and, you know, whoever does that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because like, you don't want it to be like like everyone's cosplaying.
No,
you know?
No, not cosplay.
Yeah.
But like, like a, like, you know, Gucci X Grassetti or something, you know.
That'd be cool. Yeah, but people are showing up in like freaking t-shirts from Box Lunch and like and throwing a blazer on top of it.
Some people are, yes.
I'm like, what are you wearing?
Yeah. Literally, like, we were on Zoom with our friends, and Hideo Kojima came up and his translator was up there with him, and I was literally like, that t-shirt that his translator is wearing that says Kojima Productions, black shirt with Kojima Productions in red, I was like, I used to own that shirt.
Which, like, that I don't mind so much because, like, he's a translator for Hideo Kojima. Right. So, like, it makes sense for him to, like, you know, rep the guy that he's translating for.
Right.
But some of these other outfits,
it's like from the PlayStation store.
One guy went on stage. He was wearing a sweatshirt and some, like, pants, like some jeans. I was like, sir.
Yeah.
You couldn't be bothered to throw on something a little nicer at an award show? I mean, I don't know.
Gamers.
That's all you have to say. Like, but some people do wear, like, you know, a nice suit and stuff like that. So I'm like, it's just because you have people wearing such different things, it makes it stand out more.
Yeah, I mean, like, Sam Lake was there. He's the game director for like Alan Wake and Control. He was there. He was wearing like a black tie and everything. But that's also like his brand, you know, like that's his look. Mm-hmm. That's like, you know, that's his character. He like played a character in Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
And who was also kind of dressed similarly. He also himself was in Alan Wake 2 as a character.
Yeah.
He played a character and he was a character. It was very meta. But anyway.
Yeah.
It makes sense for him. It makes sense, like, I will say, like, what'd you think of Jeff's suit this year?
I didn't like it.
All right.
I did not like it, but you know, I don't know. I feel like the women, they dress, you know, they wear like nice dresses and like they're cool, but it's like this one girl wore a dress. It was like red. It was like kind of like a punk like red dress, but it was gorgeous. But it also had personality, and like it's like, okay, like you can. I feel like there's ways to show your like love of games and your personality, but also look nice, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so, yeah. I mean, but I don't want to hate on anybody because I'm like, I want you to be comfortable and like come as you are, like come however you want to be your authentic self.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, if this is like such a, like, it's a big deal award show,
Yeah.
then why not get a little dressed up?
The game director of Baldur's Gate 3 presented the game of the year, and he was looking pretty spick and span, very pretty spiffy, and he gave this great speech, very like intellectual, and also kind of like shame on you speech, about the state of the game industry, that it's kind of circulating on different media platforms and on YouTube, and I highly recommend checking it out if you have any kind of interest in video games as an industry and how it's been doing. I think he did a really good job of kind of like calling it out and kind of making an argument for how we need to be taking better care of the employees in this industry, and that capitalism is kind of turning its ugly head right now. It's not good. Anyway, that it on the Game Awards? Okay, cool. Only other thing I will say is that I went and saw Interstellar 5555, the Daft Punk Discovery visual album, in a theater, which was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed, and I watched it with my buddies, and I didn't realize that they had completely upscaled the whole thing using AI, and I felt like I noticed it while I was watching it, but I was like, no, surely not. And then my buddy afterwards was like, yeah, there was an article that came out about that, and I was like, oh, gross. And it kind of spoke to this whole narrative. It's very ironic because it kind of speaks to when Daft Punk broke up in 2021, the record label kind of just started like milking what they could out of like the Daft Punk name and brand to make money, like doing like 20th anniversary albums, 10th anniversary albums.
Isn't there like an album where it's like no drums?
Drumless, yeah. Random Access Memories weird. Drumless edition.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So yeah, like I love Daft Punk. They're like my favorite musical artist. But even I was like, I'm not getting a whole lot from the drumless version. It just makes me want to go listen to it with drums. Next time it's going to be Random Access Memory only drums. And so that's kind of been going on. And so this whole like AI upscaling of their like anime movie album from 20 years ago kind of speaks to like furthering that narrative of like the record label milking the artist and like what the artist's work represents. But when you watch Interstellar 5555, the narrative, like the visual narrative of the movie is about a band that gets like kidnapped. Like they're like an alien band that gets kidnapped by an evil producer who then milks their band for his gain. And then they kind of get like saved by this guy who's like a big fan. And they like save him. They get like brainwashed by him, and this fan like saves them from the evil clutches of the evil music producer. And it's like, how freaking ironic that I'm like watching this story upscaled in AI by the music producers making this decision to milk this very same thing. It was just wild.
So like, do they not have any say on like,
I guess
this stuff that's coming out?
I guess not. They just kind of broke up and started doing their own thing.
Weird.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was the whole thing that happened. All right, we were like, this is the whole episode.
Yeah, I was like, this should have just been a wrap. What should we call it? What do you call it?
Catch-up episode?
Catch-up, yeah.
Well, all right, let's let's not stop here. Let's do the content.
Goodness.
All right.
I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, we should eat some cereal or something. That sounds good.
Baby's been kicking so much and moving around so much.
We're doing.
I think he's enjoying hearing our voices.
We're doing Christmas tomorrow morning on the 18th.
Christmas.
For us, like our Christmas.
Yeah.
Because we'll be traveling to California to visit my family, and we don't want to travel with the gifts that we got each other. So, let's see. Notting Hill. I gotta like dig deep into my notes to find this. Notting Hill. When did we watch this movie? I took notes on this movie, right?
We watched this movie while we were in Portugal.
No, we didn't.
I swear we did.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did. Didn't we? Yeah, we did.
Oh my god, I didn't take any notes on this movie.
Yeah, we watched it while we were in Portugal.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't.
I swear we did. Because we watched Kubo before we left.
Yeah, we did. We did that, yes. But we didn't watch Notting Hill.
Did we not watch Notting Hill in Madeira?
We watched Notting Hill when we got home. Either way, doesn't matter. Okay, I have no notes on Notting Hill, so we're gonna let it rip. We're going off memory. Let's do it. Okay, so Notting Hill is about Hugh Grant and what's her name? Julia Roberts.
The disrespect.
Sorry, I love Julia Roberts. So Notting Hill is a place in England. I want to say it's in London. And Hugh Grant owns a travel bookshop in Notting Hill. And one day he is visited by a woman who ends up being played by Julia Roberts. And turns out she is a famous actress.
Her name is Anna.
And they have kind of a meet cute at his travel bookshop. And then they just keep meet cuting until they kiss. And she kisses him. And so then they start to develop a relationship that's complicated by the fact that she's a famous person and that he is a nobody. And he also lives with a crazy roommate played by Rhys Ifans, who certainly doesn't make his life any easier. And eventually they get to spend more time together, but then she invites him up to her hotel to stay the night, and turns out her boyfriend is there. Wah, wah. Boyfriend is played by Alec Baldwin, doing like a peak Alec Baldwin performance.
You hate Alec Baldwin.
I kind of do.
When he shows up, you're like, oh, this guy.
He's there to ruin the protagonist's hopes and dreams in every movie he's in.
Not in Beetlejuice.
I like Alec Baldwin. Like, full disclosure, as a human being, he's an alright guy, I think. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. That's actually, I don't know. Maybe don't hold me to that.
His brother's the one who's like,
well, his brothers are meh. But Alec Baldwin is fine. I really have no qualms with Alec Baldwin. I do think he's very talented. It's just the characters that he plays drive me freaking insane. And
his job then.
He's doing great. Yeah, that's he's so good at it. That's why they keep hiring him. So yeah, it turns out she has a boyfriend, Alec Baldwin, also a fellow famous person, and she kind of doesn't. She's clearly not happy. He's also kind of clearly a bad guy, and Hugh Grant is like, oh, I guess I'll just pretend to be the butler, and. Yeah, so it's a whole thing. He's really bummed out. I mean, there's a whole funny scene that happens before this, where he is going to his sister's birthday celebration, but he's got Julia Roberts with him, and she's like, "I'll go with you," and he's like, "You'll come with me to my sister's birthday celebration." She's like, "Yeah," and so they go. And so it's this fun scene where everybody's like, oh, nice to meet you, Anna. And then they like do a double take and they're like, oh my God, famous person alert.
But my favorite's the one guy who doesn't realize that she's the famous woman. And he's like, what do you do for work? And she's like, I'm an actress. He's like, oh yeah, struggling actress. Like I totally get it. And he's like, how much did you make on your last film? She's like, 15 million. Yeah,
$15 million.
And then he after, I don't know, she goes to the bathroom or something and he like realizes who she is. And he's like, why didn't you all tell me?
Yeah. That was fun. So I was really enjoying this movie. Just this movie just gives you this like kind of cozy, lovely feeling, the warm fuzzies, and you're like, oh, I'm so happy and I'm glad that this is working out. And then Alec Baldwin just goes and stomps all over it and you're like, oh my freaking goodness. But he's only in that one scene because then like later she pops back up and she's like, he's not my boyfriend no more, and also I'm struggling with like publicity stuff, and she had nowhere else to go, so she came to his house and they have like a fantastic day together at his house. But then turns out his roommate, who makes his life really hard, tells his buddies down at the pub that she's at their place, and the paparazzi picks up on it. Then the paparazzi gets a bunch of pictures of him, her, and his roommate, and it's a whole PR scandal, and she's like all mad at Hugh Grant over the whole thing. She dips out. Then turns out, some time has passed. She's back in town filming another movie, filming the movie that she wants to film, I think. And he goes to visit her, and they have like an argument. But then she delivers the line. She gives him the line. She's like, I'm just a girl in front of a boy asking him to love her, or something like that.
Nailed it.
And he is just like, I think it's better that because you're famous to like, let's just let it die. Let it lie, whatever. He's like, let's just not. And she hits him with that incredible line, and he's like, sorry. But then he's telling his friends about it, and he's like, she's an actress, so she can give a hell of a line, but she said this thing, and he says it again, and he's like, oh gosh, I've flubbed it up, haven't I? And so then he like finds her. She's giving like a press conference. They're like, the news media is asking her like, how much longer are you gonna be in London? She's like, oh, I'm gonna go film my next movie. And then Hugh Grant like sneaks in, and he's like, what about this guy? What if he was sorry? And she's like, oh, well, if he was sorry, and then I don't know, they kind of like make up through this like conversation that they're having in front of the media. And then they're like, all right, ask your question again. And they're like, oh, how long are you going to be in London? She's like, indefinitely. Mic drop. Boom. They get married. They live happily ever after.
Nice.
So I thought this was a very cute movie. So my mom loves this movie. She watched it a lot when I was growing up, and I was always like, that's not Power Rangers. So I just wasn't interested. And so I was very happy that we got to watch this and that it was as cute as it was. I don't think it would have resonated with me when I was 6, but
fair.
So but certainly does resonate at the age of 31.
That's funny. I mean, I wouldn't expect you to see it at 6 and be like, wow.
I know.
I loved that.
But like I've seen, I remember I also had seen parts of Runaway Bride at 6. Mm-hmm. I still remember that movie.
Wow.
But I think like between the two, Notting Hill is probably better.
Okay, of all the Julia Roberts rom-coms, because she's got quite a few of them.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
You gotta like name them off.
There's like Pretty Woman, Notting Hill,
Pretty Woman, yeah.
Runaway Bride. I don't know if you consider Mystic Pizza rom-com.
I haven't seen it.
What are the other ones?
There's probably a lot.
Yeah, I feel
Does
like
Ocean's
there's
11
probably
count? I might have to go with Notting Hill.
Wow.
It just gave me the warm fuzzies in a way that made me very content and happy. I think Pretty Woman is good. Dang, Richard Gere twice? Pretty Woman and in Runaway Bride? Wow.
My best friend's wedding isn't
that's a good one. That's a good one. You haven't seen that movie.
I have not.
That is a good one. I don't think it's as good as Notting Hill. Or Pretty Woman. I mean, Pretty Woman is good. Pretty Woman's fun. I don't know. I mean, it's close between Notting Hill and Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman has some pretty good scenes, but Notting Hill, I think, like, spoke to my heart a little bit more. Just, I think it's the Europe of it all, the British of it all. You know, it just makes it. It feels more.
Yeah.
Feels more cozy.
I feel like Pretty Woman and Notting Hill are like opposites, you know, because like in Notting Hill, he's like the underdog, you know, the one who doesn't deserve the woman. But then Pretty Woman's like,
I relate to that
she's
more
the one,
than Richard Gere being all rich and stuff, you know,
yeah.
as a man.
Yeah.
So.
I like Pretty Woman better.
Wow. You just want the rich guy to come.
Yeah, because there's like a very like princessy, it's a very Cinderella story type of thing, you know?
Well, yeah, Notting Hill is my princess movie, or I'm the princess. we like the movie where we feel like the one who is
the chosen
having
one.
the come up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I thought it was a delightful little film, and I highly recommend watching it. Give me some facts or other thoughts, whatever.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. Okay, so speaking of that birthday dinner scene where she says like 15 million is how much she made in her last movie.
It's a lot to make.
So this was like ad-libbed, and so they did a few takes, and she kept increasing the price. And she the take that ended up being the last one was the 15 million, which apparently is the amount that she was paid for her role in this movie.
Are you serious?
Apparently, yeah.
In that movie?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
gosh.
What's his name? Hugh Grant. He
was paid like what, $750,000?
I don't know. I didn't look up how much he was paid. Hugh Grant in the movie lives in a house with a blue door, and it's like very distinct.
Yeah.
And this was actually the screenwriters, or it's the previous home of the screenwriter. I don't know if he lived there at the time. He might have. I can't remember the fact correctly.
So it's like if I wrote a story and I incorporated my childhood home or something into the story.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep. Hugh Grant, you know, we hear a lot of stories about what it's like to work with Hugh Grant.
Yeah, it's interesting kind of watching this movie and him being this like sensitive guy.
He's always very charming in his movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the stories make him sound like a total butthead to work with.
Well, unfortunately, this one also made him sound like a butthead to work with.
Oh, are you serious?
So apparently he would like walk around on set complaining that Julia Roberts' voice was significantly lower than his. I don't know why. It's such a weird thing. But I don't know. I guess it bothered him. And then he also made some like kind of negative comments about kissing her. But she was apparently after the fact, she was like, I don't care. She was like, it's whatever.
It's just like shattering my whole experience of this movie.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Pretty Woman's better. I'm just kidding.
I also read a fact that Julia Roberts threw a bunch of fruit at him, like a lot of fruit at him during shooting.
Nice.
I guess to just irk him.
That seems like something she would do.
Yeah.
I support that for her.
I mean, I love Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts does not care, you know. She's like, I'm out here living my life. She actually didn't want to do this movie at first.
15 million.
Yeah, they like, I guess the screenwriter or director or whoever was like, Julia Roberts has to play this role. Like she was the one that they envisioned for this role.
It makes sense, yeah.
And when she like got a synopsis of it, she was like, I'm not doing that. Like she thought it was boring. She didn't like it. But then she read the script and was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so then she ended up doing it. The original cut of this movie was 3.5 hours long.
Oh,
which is like, what more did you need? To me, this movie feels long already.
it is.
Yeah.
It is long.
Yeah, it's 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's as long as Red One.
Yeah.
Which is a very
Which
long
also
movie.
feels very long.
Yeah.
So yes, I don't know what else was in the rest of that time. Okay. Honestly, the best fact that I found was Rhys Ifans didn't want to make the commute from set make the commute to set from London. I don't know exactly where they filmed, but yeah, he didn't want to make that commute. So he got a tent and camped out at a nearby campsite. And like each time he had to go to set, a limo would come pick him up.
Wow.
And so he's just like leaving his tent and getting in a limo.
That's like very his character in this movie, you know?
I'm like,
That's
so
method
funny.
acting, baby.
And apparently, like, because he was on a campsite, he didn't bathe very much, like as you know, as much as he probably should have. So yeah,
He was perfect for his character in this movie.
Yep. Yeah.
That's great.
I think it's hilarious.
That's a good fact.
Yep. So that's all the facts that I had.
Nice.
Yeah. All right.
Shall we move on to Kubo?
Yep.
All right.
So
take it away, hun.
Yeah, I was assigned Kubo and the Two Strings. So this is a Leica Studios. I don't know why I said it weird. Leica Studios stop motion film about a young boy who is able to like magically bring to life these little origami characters, and he uses it to tell these like musical stories in the town that he lives in. And usually these stories are about a warrior, his warrior father, who's been like missing for quite some time. And one day, after staying out late despite his mother's warnings, Kubo's aunts come to steal his eye for his grandfather, the Moon King. And Kubo only has one eye because when he was a baby, his grandfather stole his eye as a baby. And the grandfather has come back for the second eye, or the aunts, I should say, have come back on behalf of the grandfather for a second eye. And
It sounds insane when you put it
I know,
all like that.
I'm trying to remember like why he wanted the eye. I remember him being like, I can like be able to see or something. I don't know.
I mean, you asked me earlier before we started recording, and I just went unlimited power.
Yeah,
Which I mean, you know,
something. I guess something
like
about Kubo's eyes,
something like that.
Yeah, are great. So anyways, so when his aunts come, and his aunts are kind of like creepy, scary. They're like attacking Kubo. His mother comes to the rescue and basically like sends Kubo away to find his father's armor, because apparently this is gonna like save the day, I guess. So Kubo ends up
and his mom is like, quote unquote, gone.
Yeah, his mom just like disappears after she like saves him.
Well,
disappears. I put in
well,
quotes.
he's saved by like a monkey. He like passes, like his mom like saves him with like some magic, and then he passes out, and then he wakes up, and there's a monkey there.
Wait, I'm getting to that.
Oh, I thought you would have explained. I mean, you went straight for the armor, and I was like, oh, you skipped the whole thing.
The purpose of the journey.
Okay.
Okay, so Kubo now embarks on this journey to find this armor with his wooden monkey toy who has come to life. And they...
Oh, but we'll see, this is where I was going to clarify, because the monkey says his mom's gone.
Yes.
So it's kind of like implied like she's dead.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Continue.
And so along the way on this journey, they end up becoming friends with this beetle.
Named Beetle.
Yeah. And we later find out that the monkey is his mom and the beetle is actually his dad.
Hanzo.
Yeah. So sweet. But basically, in the end, it's not the armor that saves him and everyone in the village he's from, but instead it's his instrument that he like usually uses to, you know, play music and make his origami people move. That ends up helping him like summon the loved ones of the villagers in his town, and together they all just kind of like defeat the grandfather and live happily ever after.
And he plays his guitar with 3 strings.
Yes.
Like by the end of the movie, it's like a strand of his hair, his mom's hair, and then his dad's bowstring.
Yeah.
So that's Kubo and the 2 strings.
Yeah. Piece of the whole family. So yeah, that was the movie.
That is the movie.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I liked it. It's not my favorite Leica film, but I liked it.
What's your favorite Leica film's Coraline?
I think so. I just love, like, I think Leica does a really good job of very creepy. And I feel like the aunts were creepy. I
was just gonna say the aunts were probably my favorite aspect of the film.
Yeah.
Like when he first stays out too late, and then his aunts show up, and they're like, and it's like Rooney Mara, and she's like,
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. She's like, Kubo, and then like you like see that, and you're like, oh, that's creepy.
Yeah, like
yeah.
I love the creepy stop motion.
Yeah.
And so like that's what I was looking for in this, and I feel like the movie gives kind of like a darkness, like it has like a darkness to it. So I was looking for that. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of just like, as we kept going, fell a little flat for me.
Yeah, it feels. It's like a little barren in the story.
Yeah, there wasn't much to it.
Yeah,
to be honest,
it's like barren in story and characters. Like the ants like aren't developed at all. They're just. I mean, they're pretty one dimensional despite being like interesting. Yeah. The grandfather is one dimensional. That's not really like explored at all.
Yeah.
And his parents are barely even explored. It's just like, oh, hey, it turns out these people who have been helping you are actually your parents, but they didn't know that they were your parents either.
Yeah.
And so
it feels like missed opportunities in a lot of places.
I'd agree. When I saw this movie in a theater in 2016 when it came out, and after I watched it, I was like, I loved it. That's one of the best movies I've ever seen. And now it's like, I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, it is still like a good movie. It's like objectively a good movie. But yeah, it was so easy to see its shortcomings, I think.
Yeah. I just kind of like struggled with it. I don't know. I will say I loved the origami, like him playing his instrument and the origami like coming to life. I thought that was beautiful.
Very well done.
Yeah, it was very beautiful. But yeah, I don't know. It just like it didn't pack that same punch that Coraline packs for me. Like I love Coraline so much.
So this is funny because this movie, when it came out, was an hour and 41 minutes long, which made it the longest stop motion film to date.
Wow.
And it's funny that it's like the longest, but like, yeah, it feels the most like empty. Yeah. Maybe it's because it's long that it feels empty, you know?
Maybe.
Like,
I'm trying to look
it feels like it's got less going on than Coraline over a longer period of time.
Yeah. I'm trying to look up
granted, it's only a minute longer.
Yeah. A minute.
Yeah.
1 minute makes a difference. I was trying to find all of the Leica movies.
Oh, I got that.
Oh, Corpse Bride. Okay.
Yeah,
I love Corpse Bride.
So they did contract work on Corpse Bride.
Gotcha.
The Coraline was considered their first, like, their movie.
I see.
Then they did Paranorman. Then they did the Box Trolls.
I've seen the Box Trolls.
Then they did Kubo. And then they did Missing Link. And now they have a new one coming out. It's called, like, Mistwalker. Wildwood. There we go. Mistwalker. Yeah, Wildwood.
Yeah. I've seen Box Trolls. I feel like I've seen parts of Paranorman, but I haven't seen all of it. But yeah, I don't know. Coraline. I love Coraline. it's still my top one. It's just like, I love when they like make things creepy.
I hear you. I mean, I've never seen Paranorman, but I want to say it's Ryan, my coworker. Hey Ryan, what's up, man? I think he's a big fan of Paranorman.
I feel like I've heard people. Yeah, I feel like I've heard people really enjoy Paranorman. I know I've seen pieces of it. I just haven't seen the whole thing. Box Trolls is okay.
I don't really remember Box Trolls. I remember seeing like a promotional image for it, and that's it.
Gotcha.
All right, well, let me hit you with some more facts.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a boat sequence in this movie. Do you recall the boat sequence?
Yes.
There are like a lot of leaves and things on this boat.
It was cool.
It was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So the boat sequence took. Guess how many months it took to shoot the boat sequence?
Oh my gosh. A long time. I don't know. 5 months.
19 months.
Wow. Over a year.
For
one scene.
A year and a half plus 1 month.
Oh my gosh.
For one sequence. The boat was covered in 250,000 leaves that were all placed carefully by hand.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
But
it's beautiful. I mean, like, it shows.
If I could do any job, or if I could like have a skill, it would be to like do stop motion, because I think stop motion is like one of the greatest forms of art, and I wish we had more of it.
Right.
But obviously we don't, because it just takes so freaking long.
Yeah. It's a commitment.
And I'm just like, the patience that these people have, like the passion they have to be able to finish this project. Can you imagine working on a project for like that many years, because you're moving everything inch by inch? Like, that's insane.
Just for this to end up being the lowest grossing film to be released by Leica.
It fell flat.
Yeah, and if you're like, it fell flat for me. You know, it wasn't quite as good as their other stuff. And
it was like Coraline.
Look at that beautiful boat sequence that took 19 months to produce.
It's like, even if I maybe don't like care for the story, like I deeply appreciate the beauty of it. Right. You know?
Yeah, like it is beautiful. It is a beautiful movie. Yeah. And like, you know, there are aspects of the story that are beautiful too. It just feels like it's just missing pieces.
But I'm like, when you work on something for that long, like, how do you not lose the plot? You know, like, how do you? Because I feel like it would be so hard to have a consistent story and to have depth in a story and complexity in a story, because you're working on it for such a long time.
That's a good point. I think with how complex and ambitious the stop motion was in this movie, it would have been totally like out of budget even to make the movie any beefier than it is. Yeah. So, and you know, it's kind of to the detriment of the overall story of the movie, but it's just not, with the medium that they're telling it in, it's just not possible.
Yeah. I wonder, I know that we're not talking about Coraline, but I wonder like the difference between, you know, Kubo, where you're kind of, you have these different environments, we'll say, throughout the whole movie as they go on this journey, versus Coraline, where you have, you know, you have the town, but then you just have the town scarier. Right. You know, and it's like, it's not necessarily so much of a different I don't know, it's like you can kind of reuse like the set pieces, or like repurpose them, or like, I don't know how they actually approached making Coraline. I don't know if they created like two separate things, or if they just used the same one and just changed it up a bit. So yeah, I wonder like how that impacts the time that gets spent creating it.
I don't know. But what I will say is that, yeah, lowest grossing film to be ever be released by Leica. It was the first Leica film to not make over $100 million. And it only made $73 million.
I remember this movie coming out in theaters, and I was like,
and people not seeing it.
I didn't go see it. I was like, eh.
Yeah, I saw it in a very small theater.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what's the budget on this movie? Oh God, and the budget was $60 million. So I mean that's probably not even factoring in like marketing costs.
Yeah,
this movie probably lost money.
Oh,
that sucks. But like after this, they made Missing Link. Did you see Missing Link?
No.
Do you remember Missing Link?
No.
Here's this. It's the one with the monkey. It's like a British monkey. It looks like Wallace and Gromit.
Oh yeah.
Wallace and Gromit is also stop motion.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Hugh Jackman is in this one. Let's see. Hugh Jackman. Missing Link. What? Sorry. Estimated budget. Okay. Excuse me. How much was the budget on Kubo? I said just now 60 million.
Something like that.
And it made 74 million.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Missing Link budget 100 million. Gross worldwide 26.5 million.
Oh my god.
What are they doing out here? Who's giving these people money? Sorry, I should say. They're clearly like so talented.
Keep giving them money.
I mean, they're working on something new.
I feel like this is a studio that has to be made up of people who are just passionate. Like you don't do it for the money. You do it for the art. And I feel like whoever's providing them with the funding for their budgets, like
they need
have to appreciate it for the art rather than for the profit.
Well, apparently they need to be writing better stories.
Okay, look at Coraline.
I'm looking at Paranorman right now. Paranorman budget 60 million. Yeah. Gross worldwide 107 million. Cool. Okay. Yeah, it's a good spend of money.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that return on investment.
Mm-hmm.
Coraline. Let's see. Budget 60 million. Okay. Now we're talking. That's 3 movies that cost 60 million to make. Gross worldwide 185 million. Okay. Mm-hmm. Triple your budget. That's great. Box Trolls. So Coraline came first, then Paranorman, and Paranorman broke, 100 million. Both were 60 million. And then we got Box Trolls here. And Box Trolls, let's see, budget estimated 60 million. Okay. So there's a recurring theme here.
Yeah. They try not to go over 60.
Yeah, 60 is their good benchmark. And then Box Trolls made 108 million. Cool. And then Kubo did 60 and 74. So it still turned a profit. But then they upped the ante on Missing Link. They went 100 million on that.
What is that movie even about?
Let's see. Mr. Link recruits explorer Sir Lionel Frost to help find his long-lost relatives in the fabled Valley of Shangri-La. Along with adventurer Adelina Fortnight, this trio of explorers travel the world to help their new friend.
What?
I might watch that. I don't know. Seems cute. It's like a monkey in a British suit.
How much of it do you think, in terms of like people going to the theaters to see these movies, right? How much of it do you think was at the beginning people confusing it for Tim Burton movie?
Well, see, that's why I think. Yeah. I think that was in Coraline's favor and Paranorman's favor.
Exactly.
Paranorman came out at a similar time as Frankenweenie.
Yeah.
And so people were just like, oh, yeah, hey, weird stop motion movies.
Yeah.
And they had previously worked on Corpse Bride for contract work.
Yeah.
So, but now then with Kubo, it's like, well, this is clearly not Tim Burton.
Yeah. That's what I'm like. I feel like as they make new stuff, it deviates from that kind of Tim
So
Burton-esque feel.
They gotta
that
go.
We thought, because when Coraline came out, I thought it was a Tim Burton movie.
Right.
Because I was like, this has Tim Burton written all over it. Like,
Yeah.
it's creepy, it's weird, it's like, it's stop motion, it's all the things I love about Tim Burton, but it's not Tim Burton.
This is Leica's opportunity to make a statement and say, like, stop motion features do not need to all be creepy. Right.
Yeah.
But apparently the audience doesn't want that.
They're like, we want Tim Burton.
Yeah. We want it to be weird. They need to go back to making a weird movie that's going to be mistaken for being a Tim Burton movie. That's sad.
That is sad.
All right, back to the facts. The skeleton demon. Do you remember the skeleton demon?
No.
It's they like he has a bunch of swords lodged in his head, and then they find find Hanzo's sword in his head. So that skeleton demon was the largest stop motion puppet to be built. How tall do you think it was?
Oh, I'm bad with measurements. I don't know, because they probably, let's see, Kubo was probably.
I mean, in the movie, in the context of the movie,
got you.
It was probably like what, 40 feet tall, 50 feet tall.
Yeah.
Okay, but in real life,
right? Because Kubo is probably like this big.
Oh, okay, yeah,
don't you think? Right?
Yeah, sure.
You all can't see me,
you're
but
holding up like that's like what, 6 inches?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So it was probably like, I don't know, a foot.
You think it was a foot?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, wait. No, that doesn't make any sense.
Maybe I'll tell a little bigger than that.
Yeah, maybe like 3 feet.
Okay. All right, final answer.
Yeah.
Okay. It was 18 feet.
Oh wow.
Yeah. A lot bigger than that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. 18 feet for that thing. That is wild.
I guess that makes sense. I feel like what's his name? Jack Skellington was probably like. He was not that big.
He was like what, 9 inches, a foot maybe?
He's probably like a foot.
Probably a foot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 more facts here.
Mm-hmm.
The movie consists of 145,000 photographs turned into a stop motion animation film.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
It's literally my dream. And I know I'll only be able to produce, I don't know, maybe max a minute.
Okay.
It's my dream to make a stop motion.
Can we be honest here, though? Like, that little origami performance at the beginning of the movie, was that all stop motion? Was none of that CGI?
Like, honestly, that's what I'm saying. The origami was such a standout thing for this movie, which, I'm sure that was the purpose. Because I'm just like, how? Like, how did they do? It was so flawless.
Yeah.
So flawless. I'm like, how in the world did they do that?
None of it was like they had to be like painting out wires or something, like photoshopping wires out of the shots or something.
Yeah.
Because there's just like, I remember when we were watching it, I was just like, oh yeah, they used a little bit of CGI in this movie, but it's like apparently not. I don't know. I imagine that would have cut into the $60 million budget that they were used to. Interesting. Well, my final fact is that this was the directorial debut of Leica president / CEO Travis Knight, who also co-produced the film. Travis Knight, which is kind of random because Travis Knight directed Bumblebee. Is that true? Yeah, he directed Bumblebee. So he directed.
He's the president of Leica and directed Bumblebee.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
In 2018.
I guess he's like, this movie's taking forever. I gotta find something else to do to occupy my time.
Yeah, he's the CEO of Leica Entertainment.
Wow.
Okay, now this is interesting. I did not know this. He is the son of Nike co-founder / chairman Phil Knight.
What in the nepotism is going on?
Yeah. So Nike made Kubo and Two Strings, basically. Not really, but like, So he's spending that Nike money. That's how they're able to get Missing Link made.
Oh
That
my
100
gosh.
million.
So wait,
His dad
co-founded
Nike.
Nike. My God.
Is that the guy that Ben Affleck played in Air?
I think he was just like.
It is, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he played Phil Knight in Air.
So his dad is Ben Affleck.
Not really Ben Affleck, but, in Air, yeah.
His dad is Ben Affleck.
So Ben Affleck's character in Air had a son who founded Leica and directed Bumblebee. Yeah.
Crazy.
All right, well, those are all my facts. This has been a beefy episode. How long is this?
I don't know, but I'm sleepy.
What's 4,037 divided by 30?
I don't think I have a pick for next time.
4,037 divided by 30 is 134 minutes. Oh, dang, we've been going at this might be the longest episode we've ever recorded.
I believe it.
All
right, let's get off here so I can eat a snack and go to bed.
Yeah, that sounds good. You don't have a pick?
I have one.
You do have a pick.
Yeah.
Okay, since we're not doing Christmas, I have a pick.
Why don't you go first?
Are you sure? What kind of thing would you like? You just want a movie, or do you want like?
Yeah, let's do a movie.
Just a movie. All right. So this was episode 103. So for episode 104, I am going to give you this is not a good movie. This is probably a bad pick, but it's maybe a good pick because it's a bad pick. And I feel like people forget this movie existed because it probably doesn't deserve to be remembered. And that is an Alex Pettyfer movie called I Am Number 4.
I remember that movie.
Yeah.
I have not seen it. I don't think.
Right. I have seen it. I saw it in a theater with my mom. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. But I just thought it would be fun to revisit that forgotten piece of cinema history. And I'm really not expecting it to be any good.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to give you something. Since we're not doing a Christmas pick, I still want to do something kind of like wintry. And so I'm going to give you a childhood favorite of mine.
Oh.
Ice Princess with Michelle Trachtenberg
okay.
and Hayden Panettiere. And yeah, I think this movie still holds up and is a pretty decent and cute movie. We'll see. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay. Done deal. So there you have it. Next week we will be doing I Am Number 4 and Ice Princess.
I don't even know if we can say next week since we'll be gone.
Sorry, next episode. We will not be releasing an episode next week.
Yes.
And fingers crossed that we release one the week after that. Just, bear with us as we are figuring it out over here at Content Swap Productions.
Yeah, we're kind of taking day by day.
Day by day, week by week. Yep.
Never know what's going to pop up.
Yep.
It's been busy.
I don't know. You never know.
Q4.
A baby might pop up. Yeah, Q4. Really, that's what it is. We've been very inactive Q4. Yeah. Our P&L is going to be real messed up. All right, cool. It's been fun. This was fun. It's a good way to spend the night.
Mm-hmm. Happy holidays.
I wanted to watch Indiana Jones tonight, but we did this instead. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.